Origin Jets Homesick Reaction. This is why no one is giving fighter jets to Ukraine. By the channel now, what you think? Okay, I thought they were getting F-16s from USA. When they, I think this is like an older video, year or old. So yeah, apparently we are at that point. This is like ongoing conflict. Usually I'm used to like historical topics, like it's already kind of done. So in my mind, it's like things don't process that fast. So I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Don't they giving F-16s? But oh, wait a minute, this is a year old, and a lot of things can happen in that year. So I don't know. There's like also like some. Obviously, we don't receive as much information from Ukraine Russia thing anymore. But yeah, it's still going on, right? Winter offensive and things like that. A video I saw recently about from like T90M versus Bradley basically implied that like there is a place that is like also like Russia is trying to capture that. Obviously, a lot of strategic points are going to get targeted now, even if it's like a longer objective, like in a year we need to capture this type of way. I guess we're at that point now. It's going to take years now just to progress a bit. God knows how long this is going to go on. It's horrendous. But yeah, I thought, Ukraine was getting F-16s. I don't know, right? First, I'm pretty sure Ukraine asked for, like something like air dominance, and like NATO didn't do that because I don't know, like probably would have caused issue or something. I don't know what that was, right? Air dominance could change a lot of things, right? It would make a like strategic attack from Ukraine to Russia very easily. So they were asking for that. Even Russia doesn't have air dominance, which is like, okay, how does that happen? But yeah, no one is giving jets. I don't know what the reason is. Obviously that's the channel now. What you think? So it's gonna be interesting. Let's watch it. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more. Check out the reaction, there's a link in the description. And yeah, let's watch it.
No country has dared to ship Ukraine what they've been asking for months. Of course, many nations have supplied Ukraine with intelligence, munitions and weapons that have allowed them to successfully destroy many Russian tanks and aircraft. But despite repeated pleas by Ukrainian top officials, the only country that has sent fighter jets into Ukraine is Russia. The international community has been unable to provide Ukraine with fighter jets. But the reason...
Was that a typo? What the what the fuck was that? I'm guessing he means indirectly in the past before the conflict. Because if Russia sent fighter jets after the conflict, I don't even know what to say after. No, that obviously that's way too stupid. No, that's the reason.
Is not what you think. Only 3 days after the Russian invasion began, an announcement was made that confused everyone.
We are going to supply arms, fighters. We are going to provide even fighting jets.
Josep Borrell, the European Union's top foreign policy and security official, announced that the EU nations were going to provide Ukraine with fighter jets, and not just...
Hold up, can EU do that? I understand how EU works, sure. But does EU work military defensive wise? Can EU promise that like individual European countries will give that? Can he does that? Because if that's the case, why is that NATO? Like, is EU plus America means NATO? EU has like that kind of power military wise? I didn't know that.
Munition. And this worried Poland. See, the Ukrainian Air Force has MiG-29 and Su-27 fighter aircraft which date back to the Soviet era, and that's what the Ukrainian pilots are used to flying. If the EU were to send fighter jets to Ukraine, it would only make sense to send the MiG-29s, which Poland, Bulgaria and Slovakia have in their fleet. But Poland didn't want to send their MiG-29s to Ukraine. In the current situation, the line between sending ammunition and sending weapons to Ukraine is blurry. It is publicly known that the US has sent Stingers to Ukraine, and even Russia reported destroying S-300 launchers that were provided by some EU state to Ukraine. But somehow, there seems to be no doubt that President Putin would regard sending fighter jets to Ukraine as an escalation. This might be because the fighter jets could be regarded as an offensive weapon, while surface-to-air missiles are considered a defensive weapon. Long story short, Poland could not ignore the Russian threat to attack any country that allowed you.
I still don't get that shit. I still don't get this. Like, how do you draw a line? Right? You can send javelins as defensive. You can send stingers that are defensive. You can't send F-16s and jets, basically MiGs and things, because they're offensive. Okay. So we can attack you and you can defend that, but don't send them anything to attack us. It's like, where do you put the same thing with the ammunition? Oh, you can attack us with all type of armor piercing, whatever, but not depleted uranium. No. That's like probably radiation. What if soldiers get irradiated? It's fine if you kill them, but like give them radiation. Now, come on, man.
Ukrainian jets to lift off from their airfields to engage Russian forces. And remember, President Putin had previously threatened to use the N-word. Shortly after Borrell's confusing announcement was made, NATO's Secretary General
Imagine that. President Putin threatened and used the N-word. Everybody like, what the fuck? Oh, nuke. Okay, that's what it is.
said that NATO is not going to be part of the conflict and that NATO is not going to send troops into Ukraine or move planes into Ukrainian airspace. Polish President Andrzej Duda also said that they are not going to send any jets into Ukrainian airspace, as it would risk putting NATO into direct conflict with Russia. Of course, Borrell later changed/denied his original comment, saying that the EU will support the Ukrainian army with the basic needs, like ammunition and fuel, but not jets. Even as late as March 6, 2022, the office of the Polish Prime Minister announced that Poland would not send its fighter jets to Ukraine or allow Ukraine.
Fake news. There you go. Hashtag Donald Trump. Okay, Donald Trump didn't come up with the fake news, but he definitely made it famous, right? Give me anything before 2016, 2015, basically when he started running. Anybody ever used the word fake news this way? Fake news, there you go. I'm not saying it in a negative way, right? It's good, right? There are fake news. But I'm just saying, like, how much of power Donald Trump has, man, seriously. What is about him? Is it like his like whole persona? Is it because of his like TV days? What it is? Because something he can just say or do and it just becomes like a trending famous things. How many things Donald Trump has said that become famous? I mean, seriously.
Ukraine to use Polish air bases. It seemed pretty settled that the EU, NATO, and Poland were all uncomfortable sending the MiGs to Ukraine. But on March 7th, US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken made a TV appearance that he probably should not have. If Poland were to send its fighter jets to Ukraine, he was asked, would the United States greenlight it, or would that escalate tensions with Russia?
No, that gets a green light. In fact, we're talking...
So the United States, which is a member of NATO, greenlighted Poland, which is all...
Why would you say that, man? Does he even know what politics is? Did he just give a straight answer to something? That's not how politics works. Oh, it's a green light. Fuck everything. Fuck it. It's green light. There you go. We'll even send F-22s. How about that?
also a member of NATO to send its MiGs to Ukraine. What the US hadn't considered was Polish people's familiarity with potatoes. On the very next day, Poland's Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced that they are ready to deploy, immediately and free of charge, all their MiG-29 jets to the Ramstein Air Base and place them at the disposal of the government of the United States of America. Hot potato.
Ramstein, what does that mean?
A generous offer by Poland, although they...
Wait a minute, I know a band called Ramstein from Germany. Is that a German word? I don't know what that is.
Also requested that the United States sell them used aircraft with corresponding operational capabilities, like the F-16s. Surprised by the Polish announcement, within hours, the Pentagon said that if those jets were to depart from a US and NATO base in Germany and fly into Ukrainian airspace, it would be a serious concern for the entire NATO alliance. Hot French fries? It's interesting to note that Anthony Blinken's green light to Poland was mostly covered by right-wing media, whereas Poland's surprise announcement was covered pretty equally on both sides of the political aisle.
See, that's the thing. One thing I've noticed between two sides of media is that like right-wing, if they need to, point blank will lie. Left-wing will lie, but they will try to like left and right and basically will never say that you can really hold to them, oh, this is wrong. But it will imply something wrong, right? So left wing just like left wing news, tiptoe around it, won't point blank lie, but it will have implication of lying. Or right will just point blank lie. But things like this basically, okay, you all say like, oh, wait a minute, Fox News just complete lies, this and that. This, whatever he said, why didn't you cover that? Like, isn't that like significant enough things for you to cover? Like, why didn't left-wing news cover that? This is insanity. Most people don't see that because most people just see like, oh, wait a minute, Fox News just point blank lies. Yeah, but left side probably will never talk about certain things or will basically tiptoe around to lie it, right? I don't know who lies more. I'm not going to talk about that. I don't want to start any war on that front. But basically just like things like this, like, why didn't you cover it? Okay. I've seen certain left-wing news to basically admit, oh, we are wrong at that. You could have done something like that. Okay, if he did that, it's like left-wing president is in the White House. This is basically his defense secretary, whatever. This is not right over. He should have covered that, like CNN, MSNBC, whatever. They should have covered that.
And we know this easily thanks to Ground News, who's sponsoring today's video. Ground News scours the internet to show you every article on any given topic. The app and the website not only make it easy to compare news sources, but they also show you the political leaning of those sources. The news that we consume has been filtered by social media algorithms to feed our confirmation bias. But Ground News has a dedicated blind spot feed so you can quickly browse through stories you might be missing. The small team of independent media outsiders at Ground News are concerned about the future of news. They are not funded by a media company, big tech, or institutional investors. They're supported by subscribers. So if you're looking for a better way to stay informed about current news around the world, check out Ground News by clicking the link in the description.
See, I like this because they're unbiased right now. Just like every other news long before were unbiased. But when people don't pay for that, they basically align themselves certain way. So again, they can make money. That's how it goes. So the best way to have a news that is unbiased is to actually pay for the news, right? You pay for everything. Why not pay for the news, basically?
So for now, no MiG-29s for Ukraine. But why are these countries even sharing these plans publicly? Could they not just make plans behind closed doors and execute against them? Aircraft spare parts are already being sent. This
Look
would
at the
be the
radar.
same spare parts, just assembled together. The thing is, even if this were to happen in secrecy, it would not be as simple as handing over the jets to Ukrainian pilots. They first need to be downgraded, just like Windows 11. The Polish MiGs were upgraded in 2013 and 2014 with new avionics and other equipment to increase their lifespan. Before sending those jets to Ukraine, some of the new, sensitive technologies installed on the MiGs would likely have to be pulled out, and some need to be downgraded back to the originals, which would be a time-consuming process. But even then, there are questions about the impact of such a transfer. US and NATO officials have said that 28 additional jets might not prove materially significant in the...
I mean, I understand, but is that like upgrade so significant you have to like, oh, we have to protect this? Basically, they are implying you're in war, like if a plane fails and Russia get hold of it, they'll know of the technology. But is that technology really that advanced that Russia doesn't even know about it? Come on. I mean, if something like F-22 or something, if we talk about the top of the food chain type of something, fifth generation powerful fighters, I understand that, but come on.
Current context, where Russia has more modern aircraft. Ukraine has even asked the United States to send them F-15s and F-16s. The Ukrainian Air Force believes that they can train their experienced pilots on the American jets within a few weeks. But that doesn't seem feasible at all. The training for aircraft...
Is that different? I mean, are MiGs and F fighters that different? I don't understand that. Obviously, I've never even been close to one, but it's like fighter jet is a fighter jet. Yes, something might be a bit different. You need to get like, I don't know. It's like you can take some driver who like drives lorry and put in a sports car. Yes, it will take time, but it still know how to drive, right? It's still know like basic stuff. Like, is that really hard? I don't know.
Such as F-15s and F-16s for American pilots takes over 2 years at an absolute minimum, and that would essentially produce a pilot qualified in model, which is the lowest ring of pilots. They can fly the aircraft, but not fight it. For a Ukrainian pilot to go from a MiG airframe to something like an F-15 would be a challenge due to systems, language, and other factors.
Look
Even
at those
on a
intakes.
stripped-down
Damn.
version, also known as export versions of the aircraft, which have reduced capability and thus have an easier learning curve. Either way, this process would take months and not weeks. But the real issue would be logistics. The amount of ground support equipment required for those aircraft is massive, and that's just to keep them airborne. To be able to use them effectively, they will require ordnance, avionics, petroleum, oil, lubricants, and a network to acquire uncommon materials. In a typical American flying unit, only about 5 to 10% are aircrew. The other 90 to 95% are support personnel with very specific specializations. So the MiGs are Ukraine's best option, at least in the short term. About 2 months after the hot potato game between Poland,
I'm not gonna lie. This is why, make yourself think should be bigger, right? India's making their own jets. I don't know how good they are, right? Tejas and things like that. But I understand that, right? India mostly relies on like Soviet Russian things like MiGs and things, right? Now, obviously, I don't know where the future goes. Like, obviously, the threat is China, right? But yeah, basically, after this conflict, where is Russia? Does Russia progress any further in this, like avionics, right? What if, like, we have to buy something from USA or somewhere else, like, Fs or like European, we bought Rafale, right? So I didn't know it was that much of a difference. So this in itself is a security issue, right? If you rely on certain type of technology a lot, you realize you have to switch it. Like, that's a problem in itself. But if you have your own thing you're going on, right? There is nothing to get ready of. So most powerful countries on the planet, which is like global powers, right, have their own thing. Even China has their own thing now. They are a real global power and they have everything their own. Right now, they might suck a bit, and that's the thing, a bit. They don't suck all around, right? They suck a bit, implying in 10 years they'll be competitive, right? It surprised me how Chengdu J-20 Mighty Dragon has better stealth capability than Su-57. Like, what the fuck? Russia has like decades of experience. How does China even? Obviously, like, they acquired some documents, but still. So, India is slowly doing that. So this is important. If you're relying on any country and you have to switch it, or suddenly like Ukraine, they're relying on Russian things. Now they're at war in Russia. They can't get better MiGs because Russia have them. They can't get it. Now they can't get F-16 because how are they going to train it? So that's a real fucking dilemma when the war happens.
Poland and the United States, the UK said that they will stand by any country who decides to send their fighter jets to Ukraine. The UK would be willing to backfill any shortfall by lending their air power to those countries. But is this similar to the green light that the US previously gave Poland? Or does this mean that the UK is ready to engage with Russia if things escalate to that point? At the expense of the people of...
Okay, I think so far because of NATO, UK and US kind of go hand in hand. This is the first time in a long time it'll be like UK point blank doing things on their own. Like, I don't care what US says, we are there. I don't know where does that go. I understand UK's point of view. Like, if like Russia becomes more and more a threat, Russia expand past Ukraine, like in the previous wars where Germany was the thing. England is the one who got bombed constantly. So I understand they're like, oh, wait a minute, something's what a challenger approaches in the horizon. That's what they're seeing. That's what UK is seeing whenever it comes to Russia. So I understand their approach in that way.
Of Ukraine, this war is somehow testing NATO, but it's also questioning the effectiveness of nuclear deterrence.
Yeah, Trump's saying that he's going to get out of NATO.
No nuclear buttons could be pushed. Wouldn't the response of the international community to the Russian aggression have been different?
There you go. Yeah, Trump is saying if he becomes president now, he's going to get out of NATO, which I don't know, man. I don't know. Who knows where that's going to lead? Is that going to, like, let's just say if shit does hit the fan and every European country again start friction, is that better if US is not involved? Because US versus Russia point blank, that's just like, we are all fucked. There's nothing. And just US alone involving, a lot of other countries will involve just because US is involved, right? Because US has made a lot of threat. US is not just some country. US is basically a geopolitical element around the world because they played this kind of like a security guy thing for decades, and they have like bases around the world. So is that better if US pulls out? I don't know, man, right? Or is that worse because now the, maybe like Russia and other countries like, okay, we don't want US in war, they would have backed down. But since US is not there, they might become more aggressive. Way too many unknowns there, right? I don't think that's going to happen. I think Trump claims a lot of things, but people misunderstand how much power a president has. Oh, I'm going to make a wall. No, you can't. You don't have that power. And even your own people in Congress are not going to approve that. So you're not going to make a wall. Oh, I'm going to get out of NATO. Can you do that? I don't think he can. So I don't know. This is, I don't know. My future is so fucking unpredictable, right? I feel like there are like 8 or 10 ways things can go, and only 1 or 2 of them are like good enough that future might look good. Other 7 or 8 could be really catastrophic. Some of them you won't feel it, but like future will become shit. Some of them you will feel it and future is definitely shit. It's like, I think someone like Crowd should make a detailed video about the future implications. People like Crowd can do that. Alright, well, if you like my channel, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you next time.